So good afternoon, I'm Rupert Culme-Seymour from Ontrade Consultancy, and I'm delighted to be hosting this webinar this afternoon with two of Ontrade Consultancy's clients, the Ruckus and the Up. The topic for our webinar is how to deliver operational excellence and grow customer confidence. But I'd like to welcome Anthony Ciravella, founder of Ruckus, and Charlie Barron, who's the co-founder and chief commercial officer for the Up company. Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you both?
Good, Rupert. Thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Getting dark outside now already. It's a bit dark, but all good. Just to kick us off, Charlie, do you want to provide a bit of an overview of your business and sort of the key proposition that you provide?
Sure. So yeah, we actually went through a little bit of a rebrand during lockdown. So formerly known as Charged Up, which most people might have heard about, which is Europe's largest phone charging network. So we basically produce this new form of phone charging in venues, predominantly in hospitality venues, where you can go and rent a power bank from one station, which is typically on the side of a bar in a pub, and then you can drop it off anywhere in the network. And that was incredibly successful and has taken us to 3,000 venues across the UK, Germany, and the Netherlands, and was growing very rapidly. And then post COVID, we actually ended up producing two new products, which have really come out from opportunities that I guess COVID and the shake-up of hospitality has allowed, which was both a hand sanitizing network called Gleaned, where we worked with a number of big brands like Diageo and Guinness to provide 25,000 sanitizing stations to pubs and bars across the UK to help them reopen. And that's still ongoing. And then most recently, our newest product, which is Served Up, which is a order to table solution, jumping on the trend of technology and order to table being adopted across the UK at the moment. So we've actually built all of these under the umbrella company, which is now called the Up company. So you've got Charged Up phone charging, Cleaned Up, which is hand sanitization, and Served Up, which is order to table. And we've got a bunch more ups on the way, but I can't mention them at the moment. But yeah, essentially a hospitality technology provider is where we kind of sit.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Charlie. And probably quite a different proposition in a way. Just you'd like to give us a bit of an overview of your business? Yeah,
it's slightly different, but like Charlie, we've also done a rebrand in this time. So for 13 years, I've operated biometrics here in London. So it's a license of technology from biometrics in the States. So we've just recently rebranded to Ruckus, and so we provide a range of services for bars and restaurants, sort of an outsourced virtual head office, if you like. The service, our core service is stock taking using biometrics technology. So we weigh every open bottle of spirits. Our team goes on site. Provides on the same day results, extremely accurate, extremely independent. So that was our core. From there, we moved out into mystery shopping. We do coaching, operational assistance, HR support. We're doing a couple of projects now. One for a retreat up in Norfolk, helping them pull their operations in together, all their HR files. So a whole range of stuff. Our aim is to be sort of an outsourced virtual sort of head office. With some pretty unique skills.
Thank you. No, thanks, Dan. And I suppose interestingly, already touching on the sort of innovation and the evolution of both of your businesses. Hey, I'm sure in January, February, you didn't think, right, guys, year ahead is all looking good. Come March, we get the onset of this strange situation that's affected us all. How Charlie, how does that really impact? What are the two things that really impacted your business from sort of March?
Sure. So, it impacted us quite dramatically, as it did with most of hospitality. So we obviously had plans going throughout the whole of 2020, which were very aggressive plans based off, a lot of partnerships that we got together across the UK, across Germany, across other countries we wanted to launch into. And this is obviously with Charged Up back then. So the demand was soaring. We were moving into travel, we're moving into airports, we're moving into train stations, shopping centres. We were really expanding rapidly.
Yeah, obviously, if you have a phone, you need it charged. in a secure environment, the everything's an opportunity, isn't it?
That's it. And we were really just starting to soar. And then, yeah, obviously with everything shutting down, we need people to be out and about. We're predominantly, well, we 100% need people to be out their homes to use our products. So overnight, everything shut off. Like all of our revenue completely stopped overnight. All of our conversations with major airports, shopping centres, all just got shelved. So it not only left us with a lot of actual physical hardware, which we were going to be placing into a lot of places, but it also left us with quite a bloated, I guess, bloated team in a way. And I say that in the best way, but because we had so much growth and so much revenue potential, and we were planning so many really exciting things across loads of countries, when that all suddenly stops, you've got to find things for people to do. So instantly it's kind of really, you look at the worst situations, which is, well, before furlough scheme was even in place, it's, what can we do? Who can we keep? Who can continue to work when there's nothing to do, or there's everything shut down? Unfortunately, I guess we settled on the sanitizing solution, which just it was meant to just be something for us to do. We had a load of hardware sat to one side that we just transferred across to be a sanitizer dispenser, and it just turned into a huge amount of work, which was great because we then kept all our staff, we then hired more staff, and then we also grew our network whilst everyone else was shut. Whilst hospitality was shut, we moved into non-hospitality venues. So yeah, I mean, from us it was really the worst case scenario, which was everything changed. But actually it turned into a very good situation where technology now has been adopted at an incredible rate because it's actually been forced upon venues. But then venues have realized technology is not an evil thing. It actually it leads to incredible efficiencies, reducing waiting time, increasing customer spend. It's just been a huge actual advantage for us. So now we're just building off that kind of change in environment, I guess.
Interesting sort of innovation sort of forced upon you, but how that has allowed served up to be such a fantastic platform, and in so many different, probably new avenues as well. But I mean, and in terms of you touched on stock taking. Hey, when things aren't, when people aren't operating, there isn't much for that. What sort of happened to the Ruckers?
Well, we again, a bit like Charlie, overnight, because we're so dependent on bars and restaurants, our business dried up overnight as well. We already ran a pretty lean operation. We don't have many overheads, so like most businesses, we had, everybody had a look at their balance sheet, and we took a razor to the scalpel really, and made some more fine adjustments. It was obviously we've got better at remote working, and I think that's something that'll stay. My business partner Aoife, she lives in Norfolk, and we mainly operate out of London. So when she came on as a partner, I sort of insisted on 3 days a week in London. Now you have to be in London 3 days a week, right? It was just a hangover. Like, looking back now, I couldn't tell you why I insisted on that, other than it's what you did, right? But now, unless she needs to be in London, for a meeting or anything, you can operate things remotely. Arguably some of the things that we do, some of the coaching that I do works as well, if not better, over Zoom, right? You're in your own home. It's a private space. Whereas sometimes we'd have to meet, in a venue or something. If you're talking of pretty personal stuff, you can be a little wary. And then I would say, because our teams are all sort of out and about in venues all day, we didn't often get together a lot. So again, that we used the opportunity I did a lot more coaching internally with the team. I'm a Gallup strengths coach, so helping people understand, where their strengths lie and how best to use them. And we started looking at, like most businesses, like Charlie, what else we could do. So an opportunity came up with one of our clients to look at their data. So we're sort of delving into sort of data analysis now. I have a technical background, So for me, it's something that we're looking at. We're just, examining sales data over a period of years and seeing what we can pull out of it to help clients. So yeah, it's been good. But yeah, that strict team cohesion was really good. I think, we became closer as a team. All the crap going on outside, you couldn't talk to anyone else. So, we became, it was really good. And that's something that we're going to keep going on with.
Yeah, no, I mean, the working landscape has clearly changed.
Mm.
The remote working, the sort of the trust of virtual working. I mean, virtual Zooms and all of that is at times a bit monotonous. But interestingly, with technology, you both touched on technology. I mean, biometrics and what Ruckus uses for their stock taking. Obviously, with charged up, technology and the awareness and actually need for technology now is fascinating across the sector. In terms of sort of operational efficiencies, effectiveness, how does that really manifest itself for yourself there, Charlie?
Operationally, I guess internally we've become a lot smarter with how we operate, but how we reach out to customers, how we onboard customers, how we approach customers. Before we were, as I think with a lot of hospitality, a lot of like feet on the ground, a lot of face-to-face conversations, which I think is still very important in this kind of industry. But we've actually now adopted a lot more kind of SaaS levels of kind of ways of working internally. And again, obviously learning how to work from home has brought on a lot more productivity, I think, in certain departments. In other departments, I think there are negatives to it that people potentially don't talk about as widely. But I think there's a nice balance there. And in terms of from the kind of SaaS approach, that's all just about how do you onboard, how do you reach out to customers without having to go in person. And we've become very good at that now, and we've been able to actually get people to adopt technology even without them seeing or feeling or physically holding the product. We're selling it kind of remotely through Zoom and through telephone calls and all those kind of things. So we've actually now been able to launch into other cities very quickly, into it doesn't really matter actually where you are, because we've built the back end onboarding, for example, we've served up so that you can go online from the first conversation to accepting your first order in about 30 minutes without us having to do anything. We don't have to, you can just download the app on your phone. You can just put it on your iPad, and that we've never really thought that way before. And I think because of lockdowns, we have to think that way. But actually, it's a much better way of thinking, because we can suddenly go in 1,000 venues a week instead of 100 venues a week, because we were limited by people actually going in and onboarding in person. So as a company, we've become a lot more efficient, and then with a slightly smaller team than we had before, we've actually been able to achieve, I think, more than what we had prior, because we've adopted technology internally as well as obviously getting clients to adopt technology as well. So
and I think when you as you touched on, to have operators and clients interfacing with yourself through technology that clearly then sees the benefits of your proposition, that's fantastic. I mean, that's a real step change in terms of how to to sell and how to integrate with clients. I mean, I think probably, and from the health checks that I know you do for businesses, you touched on earlier this sort of virtual headquarters. With the landscape changing, with businesses looking at their operational costs, their structures, their people. I mean, just how would that virtual head office sort of look like? What would it look like? How would it work?
Well, I think sadly, a lot of people have reduced their headcount over this time, and obviously with loss of personnel, you lose skills. So for us, there's probably an opportunity as things start opening up again, that we can fill a few holes that people are perhaps struggling with. Personally, for our business, it could hopefully that would turn into a long-term thing. Not wishing away anybody's jobs, but for us, we often do things a lot better and more efficiently than someone, an internal person could. We have better tools, like you mentioned our stock taking before. It's accurate to the milliliter. No one else can do that sort of stuff. And once people have used experience what we offer. Nobody likes stock taking anyway.
The glamour of stock taking.
Yeah, we do make stock taking sexy. It has been said before. But that extends across a lot of sort of areas in the running a business. A lot of bar owners, they are bar owners, right? All the mechanics, the operational stuff, they're not that interested in. That's not why you get into running a bar, right? So that's where we can really help. Putting in together proper process, and for me, one of my favorite things is helping people sort out their email inboxes, right? I love product, I love that, all that sort of nitty gritty stuff, but you don't think right? When you ask managers, what do you do? I spend all half my day managing my inbox, So it's simple things like that probably aren't obvious, but that we can really make a difference in terms of giving back people time, which is going to be more of a premium than it was before, I think.
Time is fascinating, and I think probably with all of our lives, you can get up in the morning and you can have Zoom, Teams meetings, X, Y, and Z, and you think, as you touched on earlier, Charlie, God, we're all so much more productive. Yeah, but are we more effective or more efficient? And I suppose those points are quite interesting. But I suppose if we now move to probably the sort of operational piece, the customer behavior piece, the landscape's changed. We are now in the process of coming out of a second lockdown. Sites will be reopening in various ways across the UK. How does your perception of how things have changed, and why is sort of growing customer or consumer confidence so easy to do or so challenging? And what are your feeling on that?
I don't know. I mean, it's shifting, right? Like there's been a lot of mixed messages coming out of the government, and it is hard. But I can't think that people. You saw when they relaxed the lockdown, right? People went to pubs. People were confident in pubs. A lot of work was done. Everybody's seen it. All the precautions and the care that people are taking. So it is hard to not see it coming back again. My worry is that we pass the inflection point where particularly hospitality, it's a very it's a sort of almost a circular economy in a lot of ways. A lot of the people who work in hospitality also frequent hospitality businesses, right? If we get to a point where people are out of work, that there's the reduction in custom. I don't think confidence is an issue. I don't think it is. I think it's going to be an economic, whether we reach that inflection point where, if we can, we could start, opening up before there's too many job losses. I don't know. It's a really fine run game. I don't see how it's going to. I can't see, obviously can't see how it's going to play out. But I think we saw, when they did the eat out to help out scheme, people went, right, and it was a good time for our customers. I think given the chance, people will go out again.
Yeah. And Charlie, I suppose the platforms you touched on Charged Up, you touched on Cleaned Up, and obviously now we're Served Up. I mean, I suppose operationally, the evolution or the innovation through your business, in terms of how an individual, a customer, can interact with a venue now is very different.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is where someone, I can't remember who it was, said the innovation has been about 5 years, has gone by in the space of about 5 months. In terms of the adoption from a pub and bar point of view, there was a few, and you could probably count them on one hand, that had adopted a full-on cashless order to table solution before COVID, and they were reaping the rewards. They were spend per head was up massively. They were really efficient. They were able to serve more customers with less staff, which is a win-win for everyone. Everything was more positive, but no one, I guess maybe they were keeping it to themselves because they didn't want to tell everyone about this amazing thing that they've got, but it just wasn't adopted properly. And And what this has done is that it's not only driven the adoption, because the government's basically forced it on everyone.
Yeah.
But then I generally don't think people are then going to just chuck it away. There might be a hybrid where people still want to go, and this is post-vaccine, post this all behind us. There's going to be a hybrid where people will go to the bar, and have the chat with the bartender. Of course, that's great. And cocktail bars, they want to have that interaction. But I think a lot of people will choose to sit at the table and order through an app and continue to use that, because it's just such a better experience from so many different ways. One, you get your drink a lot quicker. You spend more time sat at the table talking to your friends, because that's why you're actually there.
Yeah.
The amount of times that I used to go to a bar in London, unbelievably busy, have to leave my friends, go and stand by the bar. Half an hour later, I come back.
And try and catch up on the conversation. It's half an hour in. Yeah.
But also I could only physically carry 4 drinks if I was really good, or maybe 3 drinks. So
depending on the time of night.
Yeah. Really, I couldn't actually spend more money, because I can only physically carry that amount of drinks back to the table. So what we're seeing now is people are ordering far more frequently. They're ordering far more per order, because I'm now able to order 6 shots plus 6 pints for the whole table. We can split.
That's a punchy lunch.
Yeah. We can split the bill. We can split the bill via our phones, whereas before you had to go around. There's always that one person that never paid and never got around.
Now you can chase them digitally.
So you do, from a customer's point of view, it's so much better. And then from a venue's point of view, they generally, we have the data to show that your spend per head goes up by 20 to 30%. Yeah. And then again, if you do things properly, you actually might not need that extra staff member. I know that's really bad to say, but we're trying to keep...
But it is about efficiency and productivity and effectiveness. And
I remember talking to pre-lockdown. I was sitting on the bar, and one of our local pubs, they were cashless, and they've been cashless for a while. And I was chatting to the manager, and I said, what's the effect been? He said, what, cash up it's a button. And that's it now. I remember I used to cash up, and it was hours. It'd be a couple of hours on a Friday night at 2 o'clock in the morning. Whatever. It's the last thing you want to be able to do. So just even that sort of impact, I think there'll be a lot of bars that see the advantage of not having to go to the bank to get change every day, and that going back to that time saving, right? Nobody likes cashing up. Nobody likes going to the bank and getting the change and making sure the tills are getting all that stuff ready. So. Yeah, I think operationally, there's a lot of advantages, and the data stuff too. As long as you can access the data,
and that's about it. And I think it also allows a different type of person to open a pub bar in a strange way, because before, I'm viewing this now as opening a bar and pub, and this is, take it with a pinch of salt, is going to get as simple as opening a Shopify store or a website, in terms of all your integrations and everything, in order to take an order and do all of that and do the accounting thing. It would all be connected through an individual platform. All I need to be good at is entertaining customers, just deciding what drinks should be on offer and what location the pub should be, and then obviously rent. But that could eventually go through a platform as well. So honestly, I think there was a future where opening up a venue will become a lot cheaper to do. So there'll be more people opening them up. And then a different type of person will be opening these up, because there's certain people that love hospitality so much that they will do that cash up for 4 hours to 2 a.m. But also there's a lot of people that don't really want to do that, and they still want to run a bar. And technology will allow you to have the e-commerce experience, which is unbelievably simple, to run promotions, to do a stock check, to order more drinks in, order more stock in, because it automatically connects with your stock taking company and your wholesaler, and the things just get delivered bang on time. Like, all of that's now possible if you have the data to do it. And we work with a couple of like very forward-thinking bars that have fully adopted technology, and they're able to open up new bars very cheaply and run them unbelievably well. So they're turning over far more than the pub next door, which is far bigger, but just run far worse. So it's actually I'm really excited to see like the new wave of, there will be closures, unfortunately, in the pub sector, but I honestly believe they'll be taken over by potentially more forward-thinking, efficient people that would potentially run it.
I mean, it's a really interesting point you make there, Charlie, because knowing Ant and Aoife and the team at Ruckus, a lot of their proposition, okay, the stock taking, the biometrics license that you have gives absolute pinpoint, quality stock taking. But importantly, the other propositions you have, the mystery shopping, the bar staff cocktail trade, all those elements, they can be virtual. Yeah. Okay, there's some physicality of, okay, you want to do some mystery shopping, you want to go to the bar, you want to have that interaction, that will happen, I'm sure. But there's so many other elements of your business, and sorry, that can use technology and drive it, as you say, Charlie, that efficiency, that adoption, that productivity.
Yeah, and probably pre-COVID, we wouldn't have pursued it with any vigor. Whereas now, I think it's been, the model's been proven, and I think people are probably willing to try things. They wouldn't. I mean, may not work still, but I think there's a willingness now to get sort of the technological way of go. I remember a lot of those guys used to get laughed out. Here's a remote pay solution, right? Yeah. No, the manager's not here. The manager's not here, and he got pushed out the door. But I think that they might get a sit and a glass of water now.
But it is behavioural change. I mean, we're all consumers, we're all customers, so to speak. We go across the channel, we go to France, and we're very happy to sit at a table and have people serve us drinks.
Yeah. And
we have done for years, so to speak. So suddenly now we're in a situation which is being forced upon us that we have table service. And we actually quite like it.
Yeah, one of my
maybe Brexit with a twist. I don't know.
one of my clients very early on, I did a bit of a white paper on order and pay solution, and one of them says, "Well, I've got a great order and pay solution. It's called a bar, a bar staff, bar." Like, they can come to the table, they can take the order, they can go back and put it in and make it for themselves. But that, I think that attitude is probably has probably changed a little bit. That was very early on.
Yeah, and I think that one of the positives of a lockdown in a weird way is people aren't traveling away as much. So for people that have obviously kept their jobs and everything, like, my spend has gone down massively. I'm not traveling abroad. I'm not spending lots of money on that. I've saved a lot of money during every lockdown.
Yeah.
So there's a massive demand to go out and spend in hospitality, which is really exciting. I think the years after a vaccine are going to be some of the best you could ever have in hospitality. Obviously, travel's also going to be an amazing opportunity as well, but the venues need to almost survive. And what we're really presenting to them at the moment is, like, we're going to give you everything in our power for free. We're going to give you as much value as possible so that you can become more efficient, you can stay open, you can not overstaff in times where you don't need your staff, because there's a whole element where there's ways you could connect like gig economy workers to come and help you staff in times where you need more people, and then have less staff. So just like be as efficient as possible to survive for the post-vaccine era, which is going to be, I think, some of the best you ever have from a hospitality point of view. But you need the technology to, like, keep you efficient, keep you open, and then also be able to access the demand. Because I used to not spend much cash in some pubs because it just took too long for me to order. So I'd only order twice, but now I can order 6 times, 7 times. Which it's game changing. It's like 30% increase is huge for a pub.
Excellent. So here we are, racing into December. We've got to look ahead, 2021. And I've written down here one wish for 21. Is it 1? Is it 2? How many wishes have you got, and what would they be?
Oh, well, I guess. Well, it'll be able to have drinks with friends with no restrictions, basically. Just to meet up. I think that that return to that freedom will be enough in itself. On a sort of a wider view, I hope that the hospitality industry is given the support it needs to get through to 2021. I think there's a lot of people who are probably on the edge. You know, we don't have the overheads that, you know, a lot of places, you know, bricks and mortar places have. So that'd be my one wish, you know, that there's enough there support given so that we can enjoy that pint next week. We've had a few clients close. They're not coming back. Probably five of our clients are not coming back. Various reasons, but, you know, all related to COVID. And you know, and the longer this goes on, you know, that list will grow. But yeah, that'll be it. Just a drink with friends.
Yeah.
Without a mask.
Yeah. That's
sanitizer.
Right, yeah.
Although we'll probably keep the sanitizer, Charlie, from the station.
Yeah, well, it is going to be a new normal, and I hate that phrase, but we will. I think we've already adopted a new way of interaction and a new sort of level of hospitality. But Charlie, 21, what are you looking for?
Yeah, I mean, it's similar in terms of wanting to get back to normality as quickly as possible. Yeah, having drinks with friends. I think also not being more spontaneous. I think spontaneity has completely gone out the window. You have to pre-book a table in advance. You can't just walk in a place that's really busy because you can't even get in. You know, there's something really nice about that spontaneity, and especially in London and a lot of cities where there's pubs within walking distance. So yeah, really excited when that's possible again. And then I hope the hospitality industry doesn't go backwards in terms of going back to old ways of working, because I think, you know, as bad as it's been, the adoption of technology has been amazing for a lot of venues. And we're trying to onboard a lot of venues who have resisted for the last 6 months, and they're now starting to adopt. And I just hope that they don't then fly back to old ways, because I think there's massive opportunities for new pubs to open up, new bars to open up, and new opportunities to happen. But we really need to continue to look forward instead of looking backwards. But yeah, I think it's going to be a really exciting year.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Well, thank you for a very, very interesting conversation. Really good insight. Lots to think about as well going forward. But on behalf of Ontrade Consultancy and the team, I'd like to thank you for joining the webinar this afternoon. And from the Ruckers, thank you very much. Charlie from the Up. I don't know, in my mind, I've got that song from Yaz, isn't it? The Only Way Is Up. But there we go. But have a great rest of the year, and we'll catch up soon. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, mate. Bye.
Thank you. See you later.